The name of the show is The Cholesterol Myth. Get ready to piss off big pharmaceuticals tomorrow and stir the pot. Hee hee. Okay. I cannot wait.
Yeah.
I was like, I almost couldn't sleep last night waiting.
Well, it's been a while since I came in here and stirred things up, and I figured it was time, right?
All right. So I've been anxiously awaiting this. I can't. Don't keep me in suspense any longer.
All right, so I wanted to dispel some of the common theories out there about cholesterol and tell you the truth about heart disease and why we're still dying from it. Because, Lipitor is the #1 selling drug in the world.
No, for real?
It is a multi-billion-dollar seller. They're called statin drugs. Statin drugs is the category of drugs that's cholesterol medication.
Because what's it do? Lower cholesterol, supposedly?
Correct. And so the thing is, they've been putting everyone on statin drugs now for over 30 years, and heart disease is still the #1 killer. So what's up with that? Why is that? So if handling cholesterol numbers was the answer to heart disease rates, wouldn't they be going down? And they're not. And so maybe, just maybe, cholesterol isn't the whole story that we've been sold that it is. And so it's possible that changing your cholesterol numbers has very little to do with how long you actually live. And so,
what is it? What is cholesterol anyway?
Well,
to begin with.
Well, let's talk about that, because cholesterol is people don't even know that. You say, well, what is cholesterol anyway? And they say, well, that's that stuff I'm not supposed to eat too much of, and that's what I take my medicine to keep my numbers down. That cholesterol, that's bad stuff. But what if I told you that's not really the whole story? I've been saying for years that eating cholesterol doesn't actually cause high cholesterol, and the research now has proved me right. Multiple research studies. I eat probably 12.5 eggs a week, and my cholesterol is 126. I'm actually trying to get my cholesterol up right now.
Yeah, I remember that back in the 60s, and they said, oh, don't eat butter.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to eat this margarine.
Right.
Oh, don't eat eggs.
Huge mistake. Yeah, huge mistake. And so cholesterol is actually a vital thing to have in your body. Your brain is actually 25% cholesterol. So your brain cells are 25% made of cholesterol.
I clearly need to eat more cholesterol.
Cholesterol makes up the sheath, the insulating sheath that protects your brain cells. And so is it a coincidence that as cholesterol and statin drug sales go up, Alzheimer's disease also is going up? I don't know if it's connected or not, but I know that a lot of brain problems and memory problems and dementias and all that are going up, and so as cholesterol is going down. And so our brains are 25% made from cholesterol, so it makes sense to me. Now also, cholesterol is the building blocks of your hormones. So your body takes a cholesterol and turns that into testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, and lots of the other sex hormones. And so,
I clearly need more cholesterol.
All those years you were eating egg whites?
Yeah, you should have been eating the yolk, right? The other thing about cholesterol is it makes up your cell walls. Now, people sort of think of our cell walls as not being that important. Our cell walls are critically important to our body. Our cell wall is not just a wall that does nothing. Our cell walls have all these little channels in them that lets stuff in and prevents stuff from getting in and expels waste product out of the cell. And so if the cell wall is unhealthy, waste products can't get out in time, and the healthy stuff the cells needs, like oxygen and insulin and other things, cannot, or sugar and glucose, cannot get in the cell. Mm-hmm. And so our cell walls are critically important to our health of the tissues, which the tissue health is important to the rest of us. And so our cell walls are critically important, and cholesterol makes up a portion of those. And so there's even one type of LDL cholesterol, which we'll talk about in a minute. Now, LDL is supposedly the, quote, bad cholesterol. Mm-hmm. There's one type of LDL cholesterol, one division of that's really good at patching up leaky gut syndrome. Now, leaky gut syndrome is something that almost all Americans have, and that's where our digestive tract lets food into our bloodstream that's not supposed to be in there. Mm-hmm. So instead of breaking a protein down into its smallest components and putting it into our blood, we actually get a protein molecule in our blood not broken down. And that's very inflammatory. Our body sees that as a foreign invader, and it takes our immune system and inflammation and goes and attacks those food particles. because they're not supposed to be in our blood at that size before they're broken down. And so the truth about cholesterol, because if just lowering it was the secret to great health, we all wouldn't still be dying of heart disease at the rates that we are. So what we're going to do when we get back from break, I'm going to tell you the secrets.
Man, it's a commercial already.
I'm going to tell you the secrets to which cholesterol you need, which ones you want to avoid, and it's not the typical good cholesterol, bad cholesterol that you've been sold. So we're going to break down each cholesterol, and I'm going to tell you what each one of these things is. So if you're listening and you know someone who's having cholesterol problems, call them and tell them to catch this second segment. Call them on break and tell them to tune in, because we're going to actually break cholesterol down into its components, and I'm going to tell you what's good about it and what's bad about it and what you actually need to do to change it. So it should be really good.
So call everybody you know, because simply we need the listeners too. You
Yeah.
didn't say that part, but we do. All right, hang on. All right, the doc said we're talking cholesterol, Doc.
Yeah, and so there's three things that we look at that are much more important than just good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. That is a very much an oversimplification of the truth about what you want to determine when you're looking at patients' cholesterol. So there are three things that we really want to find out that can tell us if you're in trouble and you're going to have plaquing and heart problems, or if you're not. And when we look at cholesterol evaluation, the three things are, number one is when we look at those cholesterol particles, we have to know what their size is and what their density is. And then the second thing is we need to know the total number of cholesterol particles that are present. And then most importantly, number three is the type of particle and relative stickiness of that cholesterol particle. There are certain types of cholesterol particles that are very small and dense and sticky. Those are the ones that can kill you. The other ones are relatively healthy for you. And so there's one type of particle, this really small, dense, and sticky particle we call Apo B. These are the ones that we really want to work to reduce. These are the ones that can really cause you to have heart disease and kill you. So it's not enough just to check your total cholesterol and put you on medication. You really have to know what you're dealing with. And we have a special lab now where we can check all of the different particle traits. And we actually have a blood draw lab right in our office now where we can check these things. So we have a phlebotomist right in our office, so you don't have to go anywhere else.
Phlebotomist, he was in my civics class in 1978,
Yeah.
Centerville High School.
This is all part of our new functional medicine program, and so we can draw your blood, send that off, and we can check for about 15 different cholesterol markers, and I can tell you whether you're truly in trouble or not. And so we find this one type of particle, this Apo B, that's especially small and dense and sticky. We find this in patients that are really, really in trouble and need to do something to bring that down. Now, if you don't have these and you're bringing your total cholesterol down, you could be affecting other parts of your health. You know, that cholesterol is used for something. And so we want you to have a really high type of particle called Apo A1. These particles are very protective to your health. And so we should be doing things to get these particles up. So we want you to have high Apo A1 particles and really low of the small, dense, and sticky ones. So the best ratio that you can look at when you look at somebody's cholesterol is your LDL high or low. It's you want to determine the ratio of the Apo B, which is the dangerous particles, to Apo A1, which is the healthy particles. We want you to have a high ratio of healthy ones to sticky ones. If you have a high ratio of sticky ones to healthy ones, you're in trouble. And we need to do something. So this whole thing needs to be looked at, but it never is.
So if you just take Lipitor, what are you doing? What does that do? Does it lower both?
It lowers it all. It lowers everything. Correct. And so you really...
So people could be taking that not only don't need it, but shouldn't be taking it.
Yeah, it just depends on what you find. I mean, you have to determine what you're dealing with so that you can know. And so, first of all, what do we do now?
It makes total sense. You talk about the brain being 25% cholesterol and everything. It makes total sense what you said about Alzheimer's and stuff like that. And even if there's, I don't know if there's a connection, but it common sense would make you wonder think there might be.
And so, yeah, so when you tell people that their body actually needs cholesterol for things in their body, they don't know that. And so cholesterol has a purpose. It's not bad.
So when you take down all of it, you also take down the good cholesterol that you need.
Right.
It's the ratio you need to adjust.
Exactly.
Not the okay.
And most people don't even know that those particles exist, much less that you can change just the bad particle. And so people ask, okay, well, what do you do about it? Well, first of all, cholesterol is made in the liver. And if you have an unhealthy liver, which everybody does, if you're an American, you probably have an unhealthy liver. Cholesterol is made in the liver. So step number one with this program is that you've got to get the liver healthy, because most Americans' livers are terribly unhealthy. They're even now diagnosing patients with something called a fatty liver. You guys may have heard that. Your doctor looks at your lab work and says, well, you have a fatty liver. Basically, what that means is you have cirrhosis of the liver, but without alcohol. So your liver cells are actually so damaged from filtering out all the junk that's in our environment and in our food these days that you have cirrhosis of the liver, but you're not an alcoholic. And they call that fatty liver. And so many Americans, because our livers are overworked and a mess, you've got to get the liver healthy, number one, because that's where the cholesterol particles are made. Now, next is we have to find out what kind of particles we're dealing with. What's the size? Are they dense and sticky? And if so, we have a problem. And then next we use niacin converted to niacinamide to optimize cholesterol in the blood. And then we can use vitamin D levels and try to get those around 60. And that's been shown to raise the protective cholesterol, the good ones, by 20 to 30% just by optimizing the vitamin D levels around 60. And then we use something called coenzyme Q10 to raise the Apo A1, the healthy ones, to raise them as high as possible. And then the next thing we look at is the balance of good fats versus bad fats in your diet. So most Americans eat really high inflammatory omega-6 unhealthy fats. That's the ones in trans fats, in chips, and the packaged foods, and in red meats. And so we want you to have higher good fats or healthy fats. That's the ones in avocados, olive oil, coconut oil, fish. So we can work on that balance and supplement with some omega-3 and some coconut oil in the diet. And so to really get someone's heart healthy, you can see this takes some work. You can't just be lazy and say, here, take this. You really have to decipher what's going on and what particles they're dealing with and what their actual risk is of dying of a heart attack and developing heart disease. And what can we do to bring those numbers down? And I mean, this is important. This is your heart we're talking about. You have to spend some time and pour through this and really see what the patient's dealing with. You can't just run through this really quickly. You have to spend some time on this. So we can do a lot better, and patients deserve a lot better than what they're getting. So our Heart Healthy program that we've designed at Bright Wellness is really second to none. And so what I've decided to do, since we're just launching this program, is I've decided to have a class next week on this. For anybody out there who's either taking cholesterol medication or who has a family history of heart problems or who is maybe already had a heart attack, you really want to come sit down in this class and let me explain this to you a little further and show you this research. And I have a whole stack of research on this, but anyone out there who's having this cholesterol problem, this workshop is going to be entitled The Cholesterol Myth, 4 Secrets to a Long, Healthy Life. It's going to be next Thursday night. You want to come to this one. It's going to be really, really good. I have some research that shows that a cholesterol of around 280 might actually show a longer lifespan than a lower cholesterol. And so as long as the particles are the ones we desire and not the sticky ones. Mm-hmm. And so having that cholesterol lowered might actually cause more disease of all types than having that cholesterol around 240 to 280.
I think that's the gist of what you're saying here. I mean, of everything you've said, that's what I get out of our whole Wellness Wednesday today, is that if you're taking medication to lower your cholesterol, it's lowering the good and the bad. Am I right?
In some cases it does. It really just kind of depends on the individual person. So you can't sort of say that broadly, but the idea is you want to do things to get the bad ones down and the good ones up. And so
then that's probably, that's probably not a pill, is it?
No, it's the other things that I had talked about with that whole program, that whole functional medicine program that I talked about. I have some research by Dr. Simopoulos, and I always like to give the person who did this research so that they can't come back and say I made this stuff up. But he wrote the book called Prevention of Heart Disease, and he clearly states in his book, and I quote this, that death rates from all conditions goes up as cholesterol numbers drop below 240, and that around 260 actually seems to be the ideal number as long as the particles of cholesterol are the right particles. And so he clearly states in his book, and I quote again, quote, "There is no reason for the majority of the people to lower their total cholesterol because high total cholesterol is actually associated with a longer life," end quote. And so pretty amazing stuff. This is why particle type is so important. You have to break this down into these 15 cholesterol markers that we do and actually see what the person is dealing with, and do they have dangerous particles? Are they the small sticky ones that will cause plaquing in your arteries, which inflammation adds to that? Or do they have the healthy ones that can patch their leaky gut and can be protective to their cells and can allow their brain cells to function normally and their nervous system to work correctly? So you really have to know what you're dealing with. And so this program that I'm going to be giving next week really could save your life, and it's free to the public. So if you want to register for this, the number is 837-7174. You can call and reserve your seat to the workshop. It's entitled The Cholesterol Myth: 4 Secrets to a Longer Life, and it's all based on research by this Dr. Simopoulos and several others. I have about 4 different researchers that have been looking into this that I'm going to quote. This is not stuff that I made up. This is all peer-reviewed, researched facts that I'm going over. And so it'll be next Thursday night at 6 p.m. And you need to call and book it right away because this one's going to fill up quickly. It's 837-7174, and it really could save your life. I can't tell you.
How long nosy? Is there a cost?
No, it's free to the public.
Oh, it's free?
It's free to the public. It's a free community workshop on the cholesterol myth. Now, here's the thing. I can't tell you exactly where we're going to have it yet, because if we have if we have too many people registered, we're going to adjust. We may have to get a bigger conference room, depending on how many people come. So we'll let you know, but call and register so we know that you want to come. And it's going to be next Thursday night, and you can call my office to register. And it's 837-7174. And here's the other thing, bring a guest with you. Make sure that if your spouse has cholesterol problems, they come with you, or if your sister, your aunt, somebody at work that's also having cholesterol problems, bring them with you, because it always helps when you're at a workshop or you're listening to someone to have someone there with you who kind of understands, who you can bounce ideas off of, that can kind of be your partner on this. And so bring a guest with you who may be in trouble as well. And
also, when you get in the car, you'd be like, well, you heard what he said. He said, you'd be in another, be like, no, that's not exactly what he said.
Yeah. But, if you invite somebody with you, you may actually save their life. You may do them a tremendous amount of good by just inviting somebody to come to this with you. So you're not going to get this information anywhere else. This is one of a kind. And so it's called The Cholesterol Myth. It's 837-7174 to come to my class tomorrow night. It is going to be something to see. And I know there's so many people out there that have cholesterol problems, and you could be really setting yourself up for something really serious, a serious cardiac issue to come up in the next couple of years if you don't do something now to take action. So I think that the listeners are really going to find this a life-changing workshop.
Your receptionist, Natalie's having a birthday today.
Yes.
You know that.
I do know that.
What do you have you called and wished her happy birthday yet?
I haven't yet, no.
Are you doing anything special? Cake? What do you
I think they are doing a cake, and I think they're going out to lunch.
They.
I'm not going back to work this morning. Yeah, I have a doctor's appointment. I'm going for my own wellness check this morning. Hey, listen, it's funny. People go, what are you talking about? You're going to the doctor. You are a doctor. Listen, or they'll say, what do you mean you're a health coach? You are a health coach. Listen, I have doctors and I have health coaches, and so I practice what I preach. I go for checkups. I just got all my blood work done for the year. And so I do these things myself. I don't just tell others. I live this.
Do you go see Bond today?
No, I go to Dr. Cobb.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
good
she's fantastic.
All right. Well, good for you. See?
Yeah.
See, we all need somebody else in our lives.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. All right. Wellness Wednesday. Thank you, Dr. Kevin.
Thank you, guys.
Dr. Kevin,